the absurdity of this annual caviar, champagne, and let's be honest, cocaine fest for the rich, the great and the good, the know-it-alls of the world. It gets more preposterous every year. Every year it's more glamorous with more expensive champagne, better and bigger private jets that they arrive in Davos on, and more of the hypocritical sort of virtue signaling nonsense of how they want a greener world and we have to save the planet and stop inequality, climate justice, anti-poverty, you name it. They couldn't care two hoots about any of that. What they care about is being in control of the rest of us. But the people who meet up, it's politicians, David Cameron, Rachel Reeves, Jeremy Hunt all went out to Davos this week, and they meet up with the billionaires, the tech entrepreneurs, the know-it-alls, the Hollywood supremos, the big corporation bosses, the big finance bosses, you name it. If you're rich and you're powerful and you're very, very glamorous and you can hitch your lift on a private jet someone else, you're going to be there. The best parties and the best, basically, wagging fingers at the rest of us about how we should live our lives. The fundamental thing behind Davos isn't saving the planet or, protecting the world or cooperation to solve problems, all the stuff they pretend it is. What this is about is a lot of very rich, very powerful people, the great and the good, the self-appointed, telling the rest of us how to live our lives. And the really crucial thing about all of this is the politicians, they go over on their planes as well, and they go to the parties and they try and woo these billionaires and these tech geniuses because they think they're better than us, mere mortals, voters like you and me. We only get to have our say at the ballot box once every 4 or 5 years, and that's the only time we really count. The rest of the time, our politicians are listening to these people, and that's where they get these big ideas about AI, about tech to improve our lives, but identity cards and our health records being online, that would be a good idea, about net zero and all of these other projects. Meanwhile, none of the people who are pushing this stuff, none of the people who are deciding this stuff are actually impacted. Net zero, brilliant. Oh, absolutely brilliant. Let's make energy more insecure and more expensive. Do you think these average tech billionaires, do you think all these Hollywood A-listers, do you think they ever have to turn the heating down when it's cold in January? Of course they don't. Do you think they can't afford to fill up their cars to go anywhere? No, their limos are still running. Don't worry about that. And do you think that when we have things like no traffic neighbourhoods or have to pay the ULEZ fee to drive into central London or any other city these days, or any of the other things like 15-minute cities, do you think those multi-millionaires and billionaires are affected? Of course not, because they can afford to pay for all of this. Oh, don't eat meat. Oh, you're killing the planet. That's fine. They have their Wagyu beef sandwiches that their personal chefs make. They are busy telling us how to live our lives. We shouldn't fly very often because it's really bad for the planet. Excuse me while I just take all of my mates to a concert in California on the private jet. They talk the game, but they don't live the game. And they lecture the rest of us, and they get what they want, and they do what they want. But the worry is, I don't care about hypocritical billionaires or A-list Hollywood celebrities, because we could just laugh at them. And oh my God, we do in The Sun and we do on TalkTV. The trouble is, the politicians are listening to them. The politicians woo them. The politicians think that these very clever, very rich people, very powerful people know what they're doing. And we should listen to them rather than ordinary voters like us. And that's the problem, because they want to make a load of policies that won't affect them, but will ruin our lives. And that's why we should pay attention. I think they want to be thought of as good people. It's like the whole, I planted 4 trees when I got my private jet, so it's okay, don't judge me, I'm a good person. And yeah, all of these people, they're very clever. Look, if it was easy to be a billionaire, we'd all be billionaires, and we're not. All credited people who can start a company selling something that we all want to buy and make millions or billions from it. I salute you. Carry on, live your life, go to the Caribbean, get your private jet, live in your mansions, have a great time. But that doesn't give you the right to tell everyone else how to live their lives and to impose costs on everyone else that you quite happily ignore every single day. I mean, these people can tell us about entrepreneurial spirit. They can tell us about how to make money, how to run a successful business. But that doesn't give them the right to tell us how to live our lives. We have the right to choose how we live our lives. And they want to take that freedom away from us, but keep it for themselves. I'm all in favour of being in, the same room as people, not doing things on Zoom. However, yeah, they could do it on Zoom from all of their private islands and big mansions. But of course, it's not as much fun. Sipping champagne and eating caviar. I've never understood caviar. It's fish eggs. Get over it, everybody. But doing all of that, it's not as much fun in your own home, even with a staff of dozens. It's not as much fun as doing it in the same room as the elite of the elite. And these are the elite of the elite. 3,000 people. You don't get a ticket to this place unless you are very powerful or very rich indeed. Well, there's a bit of a trade-off, isn't there? Because you'll get a load of grief from the electorate and for voters for being there, seen drinking champagne. So it's interesting. We didn't see Rishi Sunak and we didn't see Keir Starmer go because you're just swanning around with the rich elite when everyone else is going, you know what? Can you turn the thermostat down because the heating bill is going to be too high again this year? And that's what most families are dealing with right now. We're still in a cost of living crisis, as much as they pretend we're not. That's the big issue for most people right now. But the thing is, they do want to be there. We've seen this, and it's not just the Tories. It's not even just Labour. It's the Lib Dems and every other party as well. They all secretly love being around rich, successful, famous, beautiful people. Go one of them. The key thing is, go to the parties, have a great time, but it doesn't mean that, just because someone's made a Hollywood film or had a great idea for an app, it doesn't mean that they have the right to tell the rest of us what to do.